There is nothing called a woman founder. You're a founder. You're not a tall founder. You're not a short founder. Sparky is not a tutor. It's a friend because it should make you want to talk.
Amazing, Anshri. Hello friends, welcome once again to my channel where we showcase a lot of interesting people, founders, developers from this vibrant developer and startup ecosystem. For this episode, I have a great honor and privilege to introduce Anushri Goenka. Thank you very much for taking time off. I know it's pretty late in the evening and you had a hectic week at the Google for Startup AI First Accelerator cohort. By the way, congratulations for making it. And how's been the last few days?
I think it's been really exciting. I think what Google does really well is bring together a whole variety and diversity of mentors who are super specialized in their area of knowledge, which as a founder, you're sort of wearing many hats and you're not an expert in any of the things that you do. So I think it's super useful for a startup to learn from the experts. And I think that's the thing I found most helpful. Other than that, I think it's always great to meet a great community of founders who are building, and specifically this is an AI first cohort. So it's great to meet founders who are tackling challenges similar. Sometimes we are customers for each other. So I've really enjoyed my conversations with other founders as well.
Awesome, Anushri. It's great to have you back here again because I know this is the second time you're making it to the Google for Startup Accelerator cohort. So I think the last time you were with the Women Founders cohort. So when was that?
22 or 23. I'm also a little confused, but yeah, that was my first startup and this is my second startup.
Interesting. So tell us something about Sparky AI, right? So you're a voice first AI enabled app which helps people learn English, spoken English in a much more efficient manner. So tell us something about your product, how it's helping people learn English.
Yeah, so I'll just take a little detour to talk about what the problem is. The English problem in India is one of spoken English. Everyone studied English in school. Literally 100% schools, whether it's Hindi medium or Gujarati medium, have taught English. So people have comprehension, but they can't speak. Most of them can't speak because they have no practice speaking. They have no, like their friends and family don't speak. And there's a lot of shame and hesitation and a feeling of inadequacy, which is why they don't actually speak in public. So before Gen AI, you could not actually do a great product-led solution for this. With Gen AI now, we can create conversational learning experiences, which is what Sparky does. Sparky is a fox mascot and it's your AI friend. We are very careful in saying this is not a tutor, it's a friend because it should make you want to talk. So with Sparky, you can come and have conversations about all the types of topics that you're interested in, which could be you want to talk about cricket, you want to talk about your job, you want to talk about, your life, you want to talk about Bollywood gossip. It could be anything, but you can come and do it with Sparky, and Sparky helps you. So there's support for you because these users are finding it hard to articulate. So there's a lot of support. And then there is a lot of assessment and remedial. As you keep talking to Sparky, we understand what are the mistakes because everyone in India has different English mistakes they make. So we assess it and then we provide targeted remedial.
Awesome. So I'm sure Sparky would would have some interesting anecdotal information about some of your customers, right? Without naming some of the customers, can you tell our viewers anything that interesting that caught your eyes or ears in terms of how customers are using your product in a very, very interesting way?
Yeah, so I think we've been successful in making it feel like a friend. At the same time, I think there is this whole thing, in the AI companion thing that some of these companions become a little NSFW. So we've managed to also successfully steer clear from that. So it's an animal, so it doesn't go into NSFW. But people still build trust with Sparky.
For our viewers, if you can just expand what NFSW is.
It's not safe for work. So it's usually sexual content or, soft pornographic content, right? With a lot of AI companions, that's the worry that you have because it being an animal, that doesn't happen with Sparky. But still people build the trust and the comfort that this is a friend for me. So we see users do a lot of kinds of conversation, right? So, and they're all learning English through doing that. But they may talk about things that are happening in their life. It could be that I had a fight with my girlfriend. What should I do, Sparky? She's not picking up my phone. Or it could be something that is something they're trying to learn. Like, my father just had a heart attack. I want to understand more about heart health. So there's a lot of variety of conversations that people have, and maybe a fun anecdote, or and all of this data is anonymized, so I don't know who these users are. But a fun one is, there was a Buddhist monk, and this customer actually called us, and he requested that, he's a monk, so he doesn't have money, and he lives on bhiksha. And there's a group of 20 monks, and they do lectures for international audiences, and they wanted to use Sparky to practice English, but they couldn't pay for it. So they asked us for a donation or like a bhiksha, and we gave about 20 subscriptions to them.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So I know you have a very vast market. So in terms of the aspiration value of learning English is very, very high. And that also kind of helps people land better jobs at a premium salary levels and things like that. So it's definitely a good benefit or a feature who wants to flaunt around in any walk of life, right? And so some of that hangover, even though the Brits have taught us English, but that hangover is still very much there, and it's definitely an aspirational thing. But the challenge is that this has been a space where a lot of people have tried to solve, in both using tech and non-tech and things like that. And it's been there for many years, right? But we've never seen one particular brand or a product dominate for a long period of time. So how do you see Sparky kind of scale and come up with something which can offer an everlasting solution for a longer period of time for the Indian users?
Yeah, so this is a question I love because it also sort of encapsulates my startup journey. So we tried to do this in a different format earlier with my first startup, which was live online classes that were tutor-led. Product solutions pre-Gen AI were not able to get you to spoken English fluency, right? So even a Duolingo, which is a massively successful business, has been teaching language for 10 odd years, have some of the best product and engineering talent. That form factor works when you're new to a language. The India user for English is not new to language. They have comprehension. They also have vocabulary. The problem they have is they can't retrieve those words from memory when they have to speak. But if you show them the words, they understand it, right? So this requires conversational fluency. So firstly, the tech products that were built earlier were trying to mimic it. A bunch of people tried to do it with NLP. It was just never good enough. It didn't feel magical. It didn't feel enjoyable to the user. And then there were people who started trying to do this with classes, with human tutors, which is what we were trying as well. The problem with the classes thing is it's harder to scale because firstly, you're scaling teacher supply. Secondly, if you try to scale the classroom size, if you have 100 students learning from one teacher, which some other tech brands have tried, you're replicating what schools are doing, and that's why they're failing at English. You can only learn spoken English if you speak in class, right? So the classes format is one, difficult to scale, ineffective if you scale by class size. And the third most important thing for a market like India is that it is expensive. So the reason we also started exploring the Gen AI product is because the tutoring product is too expensive for a very large percentage where this need is deeply felt, but a tutoring solution is too expensive. So Gen AI is actually great in the sense that it matches the price point that the Indian user needs, as well as that magical user experience that shows them that I can actually become fluent talking like this, or when they start speaking, they realize I can retrieve words, or with support, they're able to do that. So it's a great sort of amalgamation of both.
Fantastic, Anushree. So talking about how this is scaling and how this will make things much more efficient for people to learn. I can already visualize this because I've had some experience of having worked in this space in my past life. And I know some of these earlier solutions were not able to scale, but I think technology in the form of artificial intelligence will play a very, very strategic role in streamlining this and making it much more efficient and people to learn, right? So I know, I think you're headed in the right space, and I only can wish you more luck and more power so that you're able to scale and make it one of the dominant products in that category here. So now I want to kind of take you back on that Bhiksha point, what you just read and said, and then I kind of put you in a spot here. So on my personal capacity, I do a lot of work with rural kids. We run weekend school for rural kids, and one of the aspirational value for kids to come to our weekend school is that they're able to learn English. Otherwise, they say I can study in the government school Why do I need to come to your weekend school? So we use spoken English as an attraction for that. And obviously we are using, we have internet and we're using a little bit of Gemini for education and all that. So I'm going to ask you formally, Bhiksha, for your subscriptions. Because I want to use and test this at least and give you a lot of candid feedback in terms of how people from different languages are using this and to learn English. So yeah, I'll double click on that later.
I would be very happy to do that. And a part of the reason to pick this space of education and to pick the space of English is because we are people who are also motivated by doing good. We want to definitely build a for-profit company, but we'd love to create great impact. And we've done some work with the Aga Khan Foundation where they try to upskill slightly marginalized communities to do better economically. And we've also tied up with them while we were not able to give it for free, but we've given it at a massive discount. So I'd love to do that.
Cool. I'll double click and get back to you on that. So now moving on to the main product itself, right? How is Google's AI products or Google Cloud working with you in this journey?
Yeah.
And what do you see as a roadmap for us to work much more deeply with you?
Yeah. So I think being a Gen AI first product, we use a lot of things, right? So we use the LLMs that creates the conversation. We use LLMs for assessment of what the users are speaking to understand what mistakes they're making and where they need help and how they should be helped. There are voice models that we use because it's a voice first app. So there's both speech recognition as well as voice models for the avatar's voice to come out. Those are the three big things, right? ASR voice models as well as the LLMs that, are very central to our product, and Gemini does that. There are also, I think, Chirp, which is the
Sure.
Google product for voice models. So those are all the important places. It fits into the core loop of the app. Another thing that I think Google does really well is, and much better than most other large technology companies across the world, is rich data on Indian voices, Indian dialects. There's a significant push that Google has towards that. So even things like translation support is a big part of how we support our users when they really struggle. Google has some of the best translate offerings. They have a specific model for that as well. So I think there's this, and GCP, it's etc. Of course, we use across. So we use Google Ads, like we use everything that Google has to offer. So yeah.
Thank you for that, and look forward to working with you and integrating Chirp into your product. And we are very excited to get some feedback on how it's going. So, how old is Sparky? How long people have been using it, and how many people are likely to be using it, and how is it priced, and how can one start using it? So, it's all yours.
So Sparky is a year old. We have 25,000 paying subscribers right now, but we have about 1 million downloads. It's free to use, so that's why we have 1 million downloads. It's free to sample. You can do a reasonable amount of testing of the product to sort of try it out and see if it works for you, and then you can move to a paid subscription, which gives you endless usage. We have plans from like monthly plans, quarterly plans, biannual plans. Roughly, it's about 250 rupees a month. So it's priced very, very affordably. When we talk to users, we often hear that this is a very affordable price. And like recently, I was talking to a Rapido, bike taxi guy, and he was saying कि 250 तो क्या है, मैं 500 दे दूंगा.
Yeah.
Like this is so important for
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
So it's a population scale problem. We want to build a population scale solution for it. So we don't want to get stuck in the trying to make too much money from a small set of users. So you can download it from Play Store. We are an Android only app right now, and try it for free. Please give feedback. You can write to us on the review on the Play Store, or we have our contact email addresses as well.
So now moving on from Sparky to Anushri, and in this channel, we also want to inspire a lot more people to get into tech, and especially if you're into tech, also become an entrepreneur and build products, found companies, scale companies, right? So I've been working a lot with the developer and startup ecosystem, and it's one of my prerogative to showcase leaders like you who can inspire a lot more women and a lot more people to get into tech and also get them into founding companies. So, what's been your journey, and how? What is your advice for people who are watching us in terms of what is it that they need to take care to become a successful woman founder like you?
My journey, very briefly, is I'm a computer science engineer. I did my MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. For 5 years, I worked in strategy consulting with Monitor Group. And then I've spent the last 8, 9 years of my life in consumer tech. I think it's, different strokes for different folks. Some people want to start out much younger. I did it after, maybe 10 years of professional experience. There's no right answer for that. But if you have the desire, or if you feel some excitement towards this, find yourself opportunities that get you closer. So what I did was, after doing 5 years of strategy consulting, I was working with some of the largest companies, working with C-suite executives at a very young age, etc. Right. So, but I started to feel like I wanted to build my own thing. I wanted to have more control, or sort of build something of my own, have more ownership of what I built, right? So, but maybe at that point I didn't feel so ready to start out. So I started moving to consumer tech startups, which was the area I was interested in. I worked at a Series A startup where I played a very large role. I replaced one of the co-founders who exited, and then I worked at Swiggy, which was almost a unicorn by the time I joined. So I just sort of found the opportunities for myself to find the things I had to learn before I felt that confidence, right? If you feel confidence younger, please do it younger. But I think the one thing that is true whenever you start is just start, right? Like a lot of people
Procrastinate and
procrastinate, or or they think that I need to have a really good product before I can tell the world that this is my startup, right? All startups are bad products when they start. Like, even now, we've been doing this for a year. This is my second startup. I still wouldn't say our product is amazing, right? Like, there's so much more that this can become
it can
better.
never be amazing. So,
Yeah, that
amazing is a constant
you
journey,
can
right?
continuously make it better, but you have to give up the hesitation to associate your name with something that is not, like, maybe you're not going to develop a Google Apple type of product there, right? But you have to develop a thick skin, and the thick skin comes in all forms, right? You'll pitch to VCs, they'll reject you. You'll ask people to join you as co-founders, and they'll be like, I'm not convinced. You'll try to hire people. You're always selling this vision, but you can only sell this vision if you have that conviction. So you have to have conviction. It's hard to start up with something that you don't seriously really want to do, because it's a very hard journey, and there'll be 100 people who'll always tell you this is not good enough, or this is the problem, or this is not a good market. The other part of your question was woman founder, how to be a good woman founder. I would say there is nothing called a woman founder. You're a founder.
Yes.
Right? Like, you're not a tall founder, you're not a short founder. So the sooner we stop, thinking of ourselves as that, the sooner you'll stop acting like, there's anything different. There isn't anything different.
That's so profound. That's so profound. So, what is it that one challenge as a founder, it's still fresh in your mind, and which you did struggle to overcome that? So that can be an interesting pointer for people who are watching us.
Yeah, I think the part that I find the most difficult to accept, like, I think I've got thick skin and all of that, but I think it's a lonely journey. So if you start up with co-founders, like, I'm a solo founder. If you start up with co-founders, it really helps. In my previous startup, I had co-founders, and it really helps to go through the hard times, because there are hard times. You will feel lonely. There will be lots of times where you will not be able to hire the kind of talent you were working with, right? Like, suppose you're working at a Google or such company, you're working with a very premium set of people. You may not be able to hire that same kind of talent before you've made it to a certain level. And it feels like you're working with less leverage. In larger companies, you're working on with a lot of leverage of your, other teams that work with you, the brand that you work for. It gives you so much. But when you start up, you realize you're literally just yourself. I'm an early stage founder, but if I'm throwing a party, for which we do rarely, but for our team, I'll really think about the costs. And sometimes I'll be like, okay, let's do a samosa party. Right? So not always can you take them for drinks. So it strips away a lot of that. So if you have friends you're building it with, it's a lot easier. But since I've done that, right? And if you don't have it, that should not stop you. It's hard, but I mean, it's a hard journey you're signing up for. And things will come in time. So if you keep waiting for co-founders, I don't think that's a great idea either. But if you have co-founders, that's a blessing.
Amazing, Anushree. So, thank you very much for your time, and it's a very inspiring story. And I wish you very best on the Google for Startup team to make sure that Sparky becomes a wonderful product where people are able to learn English.
Thank you.